Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Well, I got the name right. Before we begin, if there's anyone that's living in the Middle East, being affected by what's going on, uh, what should we say? Hope things get better. That's all we can say right now. And
Yeah.
hope the nonsense ends. And with that, let's begin.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian. Yeah, let's get into it. How are you, man?
Good. Pissed by what's going on. But yeah.
Should be good for
I
book
have
sales.
A few people that are there and they're living in Dubai and all. Sorry, what?
I said should be good for my book sales.
Yeah.
Is it too early to make jokes?
Too early.
Yeah.
Too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I have a friend
my
living in
friends
Dubai
are there
as well.
in Dubai,
Yeah.
and so one of them shared a video of building next to his, just and like, fuck. Things are pretty intense right now.
My friend, I messaged him, I was like, hope you're okay with everything going on, because I saw the stuff in Dubai, and his exact words were, fine now, squeaky bum time for a while.
Yeah. So it's,
But yeah,
the
it's
buildings
crazy.
are shaking and things are not
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, Iran's reaction is probably not to justify it at all, just to understand what they're doing. It seems like it's a case of try and disrupt everyone around as much as possible to make all the other countries, instead of going, okay, we need to help America, to go, you know what, America, look, every time you come in here, it goes to shit. So can you please just leave us alone? I'm guessing that's the thinking, and because that's probably all they can do right now. They should have built a nuke. Kim Jong has proven that, right?
Yeah, that fat bastard was right all along, right?
was
Everyone
right.
else was
All you
everyone
have to
else
do
was
is-
stupid.
Just starve your nation for 20 years and America won't be able to do anything to you once you've got the bomb. It's wild.
Yeah.
History written by losers. You can pick up the book. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. On a
crazy.
serious note, I hope everyone is fine.
Yeah,
There's
seriously,
no
though.
nonsense going on. But yeah, let's talk about Formula One at least.
Yes.
Some distraction
Yeah,
is
yeah.
important.
So, races in the Middle East. No, I'm kidding. Let's move on.
No.
That's sorry,
Australian
as an
Grand
Irish
Prix,
person,
by
by
the
the way, we like to joke about things when things are tough. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, no one takes offense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Australian Grand Prix. By the way, before we began, I was listening to the races preview podcast, and so the way they went about the podcast. Remember, we did one after the second test, and the second preseason test in Bahrain. After that, we did a podcast where we started on a slightly sad note, and it continued getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Those guys went through the same journey.
That's good. It's good that it's not just us. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about, they're like, okay, so the cars are power deficient. It's going to be a concern. Yeah. Overtaking is probably going to be tough because the boost is it's useless. Yeah. And if there are changes that need to be made, everyone needs to be in consensus. That rarely happens in Formula One. Yeah. So why are we doing it?
I did. I listened to most of the first part of that, and I just remember someone saying about Ferrari. He goes, "Yeah, well, I mean, Ferrari should get off the line well, and then it's impossible to overtake, so they'll probably win." And I was like, "Jesus Christ,
Ben Anderson. Yeah.
yeah, oh man."
Yeah. On that positive note, so
On that bombshell, it's time to end. We'll see you guys next week for the MotoGP podcast.
we might start doing that as well, right? It's been fun. It's a
I
very.
tell you what, if
it's
Australia
awesome
is a nightmare, maybe we just switch sports. Just like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll see you guys in 27. We're
Exactly.
gonna switch.
I mean, Max is taking a sabbatical, anyways. The way things
Yeah,
are
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Australia. First of all, what's your early? Excited, nervous, trepidatious? What?
I'm excited because one, it's been so long since we've had F1 on track. It's been 6 weeks. I'm kidding, but it's what the shortest turnaround of a winter I think ever, right? So it hasn't been that long.
Not that short. Oh yeah,
Well, I
it
mean,
is.
in terms
It
of
is. It
from
is.
final race to like first launches and stuff, it was the
Yeah,
quickest ever.
it was
I think,
7th
right?
December, right? And then we began within a month,
We had a first
a
launch, I
month
think,
and a half.
13th of January, something like that, though.
Yeah,
So like no time at all.
35 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so crazy. But yeah, look, I'm excited to see the cars back on track. And I think regardless of what happens this weekend, it'll be exciting because even if it's an absolute shit show, it'll be the first time seeing the shit show and it'll be fun. Obviously, that excitement will become less so if we don't get any decent racing for the rest of the year. But at the moment, I'm just trying to stay optimistic that like these engineers normally figure things out in order to win races. And while I think there will be some shit show going on, I'm hopeful that at least we'll get some decent racing for a few races like 22 where, you know, the cars were able to race a little bit better. I'm just not optimistic. And especially at Australia, like I think there is one thing people should watch out for this weekend, which is like Australia is possibly the worst track for these cars. So at the very least, if it is a shit show, it's probably as bad as it's going to get until
we get
Monza.
to Jeddah. But apparently
Jeddah,
we might
yes.
not be
Well,
going to
we
Jeddah
might not even
anyways.
get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jesus.
Fucking
2026 is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just March.
Thank God I live in sunny, safe Mexico where nothing ever happens.
Yeah. So I think for me the biggest worry is, look, I was super excited. Then every time again, there are so many storylines. First of all, Mercedes might be back at the front. They haven't for the last 4 years now. Ferrari, this might be the Ferrari's year. McLaren, and then you have Red Bull. They are essentially chomping at the bits. So there are going to be things that they might be able to do. The problem that begins is, okay, there might be some level of competition. And I think the only saving grace for these regulations might be that the top 4 teams, they might have some level of competition amongst them. Because if that happens, maybe racing might suck. Maybe the entire, you can say the racing order might be defined on the very first lap. But at least there is going to be variability. There's going to be tension, and
There's
if there are
exactly,
and if there are multiple drivers and teams that are in contention for wins, the desperation sometimes leads to a late lunge or some move or something, right? So if the pressure is amped up because there are multiple contenders for the championship, then even though the cars suck, the regulations suck, we might have something going on. So that's my hope. That my only hope for now is we head to Australia, and after the first qualifying, by the way, qualifying is also going to be a shit show for entirely different reasons. After the first qualifying or the first race, we have a situation where the gap between the top 4 teams is within, I'd say if it is within 4 or 5 tenths, I think we are in the ballpark for a decent season. Because that way, that much of a swing can happen within races, especially in the new regulations and with the entire development cycle in place. So that's my hope, that at least we see some competition. If we are seeing that, maybe on a certain level, things can be palatable. Otherwise, we are in for a shitty time. If we get to Australia and we have a scenario where Mercedes is a second faster than everyone else, then
because it doesn't seem like we're gonna have like super overtakes and everything either, you know. And
so there's no saving grace in that case.
I don't think we'll be in that situation, but we could be.
Which one?
The Mercedes being a second ahead or Ferrari being a second ahead. Like, it doesn't look like that, but
Ferrari, I'm not even talking about Ferrari being a second ahead.
Even if Ferrari is a second ahead, like, it'll be for 3 races and then they'll screw it up. That's the Ferrari way. What honestly, I have to say, I was trying to keep all positive about it, especially outside of our podcast, because when we get into these podcasts, sometimes we're like, oh, this is going to be terrible. I kind of was the same as you. I was listening to the race one for a certain amount, and I was like, these guys are never like this. Like, they're pretty, especially like Ed Straw, like, they're pretty realistic about what's going to happen. Like, it's not like sensationalism. Like, say what you will about the race, but I do like the fact that with them, you do generally get the facts. And when it's an opinion, it's pretty obvious it's an opinion. And like, their response was, this is not looking great. And that was the moment for me where I was like, oh, okay, it's not just me being crazy. Like, there are some serious issues here. So that has me worried. But there's always alcohol. So, I mean,
Maybe that helps.
the cause of and solution to all of our problems.
Yeah, my concern is, look, there are two things which usually separate great drivers from good drivers. It's the way they are able to dance the car around the edge of the grip, essentially that thing. And second is the late braking lunges, something that made Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Oscar.
Yeah.
They became famous because of the way they would attack their rivals, right? We can't really do any of those things here because of the limitations in place. So
Because you have to regen coming into a corner, so you can't leave it till the last second. Yeah.
So super clipping and all, they are probably going to help on certain areas, but the concern that I think almost everyone would be having right now is even when you look at the onboards, it might appear that the cars are going slower than they should, and I think that's where the concern could come, because in the middle of the straight you won't see the car revving up anymore. It would either be revving down or it would stay the same, and it doesn't hit the same, right? So let's see what happens. At the end of the day, if somehow we are able to see a lot of action, there are a lot of overtakes essentially because of discrepancy in the way each car is harvesting. Maybe that could help. Then you have drivers like Max and Charles who can be very innovative. So maybe they try an alternate strategy or something when it comes to, maybe I'll pass the car and then I'll completely slow them down from the twisty bits and then push on. So there are things that can be done. Let's see. As I said, until they've had a race or two, we won't know. If the product is very, very bad, we might see some extreme actions, but I'm not entirely sure what extreme actions those could be.
Yeah, the problem is how long it'll take to turn those around, you know. The problem, well, I suppose the upside is our expectations are so low that it will hopefully beat those expectations.
Plus the race is early in the morning. FP1 is at 7 a.m. Right? And for me, I've been sleeping at 6 a.m. these days. So for me, it's, oh, fuck. Yeah. Anyone has any suggestion how to change the sleep cycle? I've been trying for months now. It's not working.
I have a Manta sleep mask. They sponsored a video. They sponsored the Jordan Belfort video, and they sent me and the wife like the sleep masks and stuff.
Yeah,
fucking game changer, man. Because I'm not trying to do a sponsored ad here, just genuinely that I've really liked it, because it's like first of all, it properly blocks the light, which helps, but second of all, they have Bluetooth headphones that you can sleep on, like that are comfortable to sleep on. So I can like turn a podcast on for like 20 minutes and set a timer on my phone, and then put like white noise, like ocean, rain, something like that, to just run. And I find like between the ocean noise, the rain, and like the podcast and the light being gone, I actually am able to just like get to sleep anyway, and I go into REM then. Whereas before it would take me just ages to get to sleep if I'm not like sleeping at the exact same hour. So use code Hassett for 10% off.
I've been trying to get the whole thing in order, right? It's been a pain, because for me,
for your work
schedule has changed, right? It's completely gone out of whack right now. But yeah, whatever. Coming back to Formula One. Before we talk about, again, you want to talk about the solutions that possibly could be at play right now? Yeah. Because there are a few. Go for it. But so there's one thing that is there are a couple of things that have been suggested. First is there's a proposal that they'll reduce the amount of the maximum electric power that can be harvested on a single lap. They are thinking of reducing it from 350 to 250. So that's one thing. So what that will do is it will essentially reduce the amount of time drivers have to harvest the power during a lap. So that is one thing. The second thing that they are looking at is just increasing the super.
Is that not? That seems a weird solution to me, though, because surely that makes it harder to harvest.
No. The process of harvesting will remain the same. Okay.
Sure, but like my point is, if you're recharging 250 instead of 350, you're getting less energy every recharge, right?
So they're limiting the top energy, right? So what we have right now is you have a
I
IC
get what you're
component
saying.
and the
You're not
electrical.
saying like recharge rate. You mean as in like the amount the battery can hold.
Total.
Yeah. Okay. That
Total
makes sense.
recharge per
Yeah.
lap. So initially with the regulations, you have 350.
Basically, so they'll have less power overall, but everyone has less power, basically.
Yeah. So the maximum, it will be moved from 350 to 250. And
Yeah.
the reason why they're doing something like this is essentially so that the whole thing about super clipping and lift and coast and all those things, and all the whole nonsense of driving the car, which is at a higher gear when it's supposed to be driven at a lower gear, all these things should be negated. So this is something that is being proposed. The problem is it might get passed on only one condition. If I'm not wrong, you might need supermajority for this.
Yes.
And again, there's one team it might end up fucking over, and that's Mercedes, because apparently they have the most power that they're producing right now. So for them, reaching a 350 per lap is viable. They can do that.
Yeah.
For other teams, it's a bit of a headache, and that's the entire aim.
Well, I mean, if it's only Mercedes, you're good because the supermajority is 4 out of 5 of the engine suppliers.
6 out of 7. FIA and FOM.
I think for that though, it would come under. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry.
Technical
So engine
regulation,
suppliers, FIA and FOM. Yeah. So you could do it as long as everyone except Mercedes went in on it, basically.
That's one thing.
Yeah. The thing is, unless they can basically say that it's a safety issue. If they say it's a safety issue and they can basically argue fully that it's a safety issue, then the FIA can override it and bring in a technical. Because, like for example, the floor change in 22, I want to say, or 23 was it?
TD,
like
whatever nonsense.
TD 39 or something. I have to remember, or 38, a long time ago now. If it's on safety grounds, the FIA can override without a vote, basically. But they have to basically very much prove like this is a safety concern, because otherwise they know that Mercedes would just bring it to the sporting court for like playing the rules or whatever.
Exactly.
So, and they could technically argue that, because if in race one it turns out that everyone is like randomly braking at the end of the straight and there's no, like, you know, you could say that for racing that's extremely dangerous if like cars are just randomly offsetting their speed, like, you know, way before the braking point, and another car doesn't need to, so the closing speeds become great. You could make the argument that like it is a safety issue, but I guess they can't do that until after the first race and we see if there's a safety issue, like, basically. So
probably Australia is the best race to do that, because if Australia is shit, then you have to take action. And I think in some ways there are positives involved if you look at it from that lens. There's also another factor. The other factor is the tires, and I think it's not been talked about yet. So the tires, they are back to, if I'm not wrong, both of them are back to having the same dimensions. You don't have a bigger rear tire and a smaller front.
I believe so. I could be wrong. Yeah. They are narrower overall as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. Even if that is not the case, they are narrower now. So if they are narrower and they will have much higher torque that will be pushed through, that leads to higher tire wear. In principle, unless Pirelli produces rock hard tires and you can't really do anything.
And Pirelli never make mistakes, so surely that won't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if that is the case, if rear tire wear becomes a limiting factor, so that could also play a role in terms of your race pace will suffer and stuff like that. You might have to do multiple stops, and I think that is probably one of the areas where where F1 might be looking to make changes. Have tires that bring
the grip levels are way down too, right? So like that should help with tire wear, because the less grip you have, the more
slipping and all.
Yeah. So
let's see. I think that's the good thing here. There are variables that could make changes in terms of if there's one team that is able to ace the slipping part of the rear tire, then it might have a better traction, better tire life and stuff. And then if there's another team which is able to have much better harvesting, then they are able to do a much better job overall on a particular lap. So again, there are a lot of variables. Which team will nail which one is going to be interesting. It's just that I really hope the overall product stays in a good shape. I really don't want to fuck things up. That's my initial worry.
Yeah. So, like, what problem do we want to talk about next? Is it the race starts?
Yeah.
The race starts, the regen we've already discussed. The tires
I'm
could be a
excited about
problem.
the race starts, by the
Aston
way.
Martin falling out. Mercedes
Yeah,
maybe not having their fuel ready.
No, it's
Is
done. It's done.
Oh, is it finished? Is it? Okay.
Yeah. They it's been approved. So why it was delayed, I think it had
I think they
something
just
to do with
submitted
the
it slightly
sourcing and
later than
everything.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not much of an issue. Let's talk about your favorite team, Aston Martin.
Christ. Yeah. Here we go.
You saw the report where they are not expecting to finish the first race of the season.
It seems to be true. Yeah, they've. From my understanding of it, though, I'm hearing two sides to this. So one side is like they don't have enough spares because of all the issues in testing. That's the kind of going theory on it, right? However, what I've heard, which does also make sense, is that remember we're saying like they basically came up with a relative solution to the vibration issues, which they're hoping will help with reliability and so on. What I've heard is, and again, I can't confirm this, but I've heard it from someone that I kind of relatively trust. Essentially, they have figured out how to fix that to an extent. They were able to homologate the new engine, but the actual homologated engine, they weren't able to manufacture more than a couple in time for Australia. So they're worried that basically they don't know if they're going to work. And then also they don't really want to just run through those when they're the only engines that they have at the minute, basically. So they don't have spare parts for the new homologated engine, basically. So it's one or the other. Either it's just they ran out of spares during testing, or they've homologated and essentially the new version of the power unit, they don't have enough builds for it to like basically be confident to run through, especially because there's a triple header. So they're trying to figure out what to do there. So
There's Australia. What are the other two races? China and
China and Japan, right?
Yeah.
So and it would make sense that they probably want to save those engines for Japan as well if they are fixed, right?
Fuck yeah.
If they think,
fuck.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So the entire whatever I've heard and read, again, none of it is. I won't call it reliable because it's a mix of the German media, the Italian media, the Spanish media, and the race. So
who I heard that from, by the way, was someone like close to the team. We'll put it that way. So he's also got a bit of a bias in that he wants the team to succeed. So he could be giving me
being
the rosy,
positive and all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So essentially, the story that I could find was Adrian Newey joined the team in April 1st, right? So by the time he joined the Honda Power Unit program, it was at a certain stage. It was at an advanced stage when it comes to building a power unit. But the problem was it was still behind schedule when you compare it with the rivals. They already had an 18 months,
right? Yeah.
Deficit, right? So, but the problem was when Newey joined, he pretty much changed everything upside down. So his view was, and this specific is from the Honda interview that the something Tsunoda gave. So from the person, what he said was, as soon as Newey joined, he had a certain specific set of demands, and those set of demands ultimately ended up putting Honda behind their supposed schedule because they had to accommodate a lot of things. Now this is the part that has been reported, not entirely sure. According to this part, there were some changes that Newey wanted in terms of packaging and everything, which were leading to Honda being forced to use a split battery system.
Yeah.
So that split battery system, what it did was it led to excessive vibrations from the power unit that was transferring through the chassis and then damaging your batteries. The battery
electronics
pack.
and so.
Yeah. So what Honda specifically said was that we need to reinforce that specific structure where the power unit will be, so that the structure absorbs all the shocks and it will not transfer to the battery pack. Newey rejected the idea, and that's apparently the part where then the entire issue has been. So if you look at the Aston Martin design right now, it's very closely packed. Now, once this has been discovered, again, the reason why Honda came out and talked about it was because they are also trying to save face to a certain extent. They've faced a lot of negative press and they were trying to set the record straight. And what they essentially wanted to tell was, it's not entirely up to us. If we were sticking to our entire plan and there were supposed to be no breakages or anything, we would have had a decent power unit by now. To a certain extent, they're right.
Yeah.
The the problem is you have to collaborate on both ends, which is where I think it's a bit worrying. If Newey has straight out rejected what Honda was asking, then I'm not entirely sure if that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
At the same time, now where they are right now, they are trying to put together reinforcements so that the vibrations do not move to the battery pack and cause damage on that specific area. That's where they stand right now.
From what I've heard, that's what like the new version of the engine, the homologation was there. Like they fixed that basically. So like if the guy I was talking to is right, basically they fixed that and they're now preparing because basically they're not sure whether it's fixed because they haven't ran it on track yet, basically. So the idea is in Australia, if we still have issues, we'll basically just shut that down and see what we can do for the next 2 races because they're more worried about Japan than they are for Australia. Yeah. I would imagine that's my guess. Like they're more concerned about Japan than they are Australia. So they're like, yeah. But the other thing was as well, like there was a lot of rumors and Audi had the same issue. I remember we were talking about this because
overheating.
Yeah, but Audi had issues with vibrations too.
Yeah.
And both Audi and Honda, I believe, have said that like essentially they weren't getting the issue on the dyno, but they were getting in real life. So I imagine there's some correlation issues there between, because the dynos that they have are very advanced and obviously they will account for a certain amount of movement in the car. But I guess you can't be exact compared to like...
Exactly. But when your car design is as aggressive as these guys have pushed, then that makes things unsustainable.
And also, right? Your simulations are going to be off because the cars hadn't run on track when you're designing those engines. So you're going to be running them in like 2022 or 2025 spec cars and stuff like that, or CFD like simulations
VTT,
of the
virtual track test or something.
Yeah, so right now. It's never going to be exact.
They didn't even do that, by the way. The geniuses at Aston Martin Honda for some reason.
The one positive I will say about the situation, again, I may be getting spun the positive side of this, but what I've been told is essentially that the core kind of technical teams, so the people working on the chassis and the people working on the engine at Scuderia, they have basically agreed that like, okay, this is tougher, but these compromises and these things we're doing make sense. So yes, this is going to be a shit show right now, but it like the end goal of what Newey wants and what Honda wants, like for them to work together, the end goal makes sense. But it's a shit show at the moment. And the real issue is like the PR teams at both, because one is saying it's you and the other is saying it's you. And the technical teams in-house are going, look, this is a shit show because we're trying to be aggressive. Like we're working on this. But it's the PR teams going, well, we can't just say like, oh, we were over aggressive, so we're behind. We have to blame somebody, like, so.
Okay, I'm
whether that's true or not,
the devil's advocate. PR teams, they don't work independently at all. So I know.
So they're getting it from someone. Yeah, of course.
The teams. From the teams. It's essentially...
But they're probably... my point is they're not getting it from the technical side, basically. It sounds like the technical side.
From the leadership. It's the top-down thing. Whatever the leadership wants the direction to be. And that's how it tends to happen.
Lance needs to blame someone.
Lance. You know who he follows on... Yeah, anyways. Yeah, you also saw that, right? I mean, he makes it so hard to defend him. He makes it so hard.
Hey, but they're just defending themselves. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
we're not.
For me, this essentially I do want to. So tomorrow, I think it's probably around 7 and 8 hours later. Newey is going to be in the press conference, or he might be doing an open press conference or something. Mm-hmm. So in that particular press conference, I want to see what he is essentially saying.
Yeah,
because for me, the worry right now is whatever I've got to know, the Honda outfit got pissed off when Newey told Andrew Benson of BBC that the Honda power unit could not even harvest 250 kilowatts over a lap, and that led to the whole thing. And there is some tension. It's obvious the way they are going about it. There is some tension. It's essentially you have two PR teams essentially pushing stuff into the media, and you have random reports coming out.
You've also got a technical lead who doesn't like. He's never been one to like play the politics of Formula One. So like Newey's just coming out and going, yes, we have a problem, and this is what the problem is. Yeah. And then the PR teams are like, whoa, 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 and like obviously leadership as well of different companies, like because it's again, if this was just like the technical lead of Aston, which is Newey, and the technical lead of Honda, I'm sure you'd have
He's
a
the
very
team
like
boss, right? He's not just the technical lead.
Of course. But I mean, if you were just talking in terms of like, if they were just talking about the technical stuff and you treat it that way, I'm sure the Honda guy would just be very engineering and be like, yes, it's because we tried to design this. So we're working with the team to build. And it would be a very casual. But when you have PR teams who are like, oh, he said what? Like, oh,
Plus, maybe
fuck.
Newey didn't know that Benson would publish the whole thing. That's
Maybe.
also a concern,
Maybe
right?
that's also there. Yeah.
Might be a slip of tongue. It happens.
He's not the media guy. He never was. So it's not surprising that he'll just say things without
And
thinking about
that's the problematic
consequences.
bit. Yeah, exactly. That's the problematic bit. Because for me, if I was the team boss at Aston, for me, the entire thing would be Newey. Fuck the media, focus on the car, and focus on collaboration with Honda. You don't need to worry about any of this.
I think
and I would
that's
put
why you're getting
someone-
these issues, right?
Exactly. I would rather put anyone who's going put a de facto team principal in place whose job is to keep the nonsense and the noise away from Newey and Honda and let them do the job. At every point, just put a united front in front of the media that, okay, things are wrong, but we are working on it. We have strong potential and we'll ultimately reach success. That's
They
how it should be.
basically what he needs right now is a Zach Brown, because
100%.
essentially
Zach Brown, Stella,
because
Horner,
Andrea Stella is good with the media, but you'll notice like when McLaren are in situations where they're under pressure, they're up against it, you'll see almost immediately that like Stella starts to fade away and Zach is in front of the media, and that is clearly it's like, okay, we've got a bit of a crisis going on with the technical side. So Stella's like, I need to put all my attention on performance. So can you deal with sponsors and media?
Exactly.
And Zach takes that over. And that's what they need. Because, like as your point said, like Newey is an engineer, So he's not going to think like, okay, I need to get this because the press is going to think like this and these are going to say this.
It's not his
he's
job.
just going like,
job,
oh,
right?
we're at 250 kilowatts. We need to be at 350. I'm trying to get the performance together. That's what we're doing here. He's just giving a technical, like, this is what we're doing. Yeah. Whereas Horner, for example, in the past, like Horner has spent 20 years knowing that what he says is going to end up and how it's going to end up. So he's thinking about like, okay, well, if I say this, the press is going to say that. So I need to put pressure by saying X and Y. And he can spend a lot of his time thinking strategically like that. Like Newey doesn't have the time to go, oh, well, I need to think about what
it's never been his focus.
Straws. No, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. So yeah, I agree. They need a CEO. I think keeping him as team principal is actually I think it's a good idea.
I think for
as
me,
long as they get the right CEO.
Yeah, for me, the tags, the name tags or whatever position doesn't matter. He should be focused on the car. He should not be focused on the media or the relationship part or any of that. I really don't think that should be his focus.
I'm just going to say, like, the team principal role, it makes sense in the McLaren style. Because if you say focus on not just the car, but like performance as a whole. You know what I mean? So he can talk to the engine guys, talk to these guys, and he overrules everybody. That makes sense. As long as you have someone else who takes the other stuff.
Not just a technical guy, right? Stella manages the entire team.
Yeah. But
I don't want Newey to manage the entire team. I mean,
Stella focuses on the performance of the team. Yeah. As in, like, the entire, like, the track performance team, Stella is still the head of those, is my point.
Yeah.
So Stella is the head of, like, the on-track performance guys and the car guys. And, like, I don't mind Newey doing that because Newey was at the track every single race anyway before.
But I don't want him.
All these things.
Exactly. For me, it is he has 24 hours, and those 24 hours should be focused on how to make the car a rocket ship. That's it. That's my entire thing. From Newey, I don't want him to look at anything else. I don't want him to focus at anything else. I don't want him to use his brain cells for anything other than making this car faster.
I'm not sure.
My approach.
I agree with that's what he should be doing, but I think how that's done, even if we look at like how he did in the past, the reason he's at tracks like on the pit wall, like talking to the performance engineers, talking to the drivers, doing all that, like he's using that as like basically time to figure out like to see all the different streams. And then giving that as feedback to the car. So like for years, he hasn't been working on the actual cars himself anyway. Like from the early concept, yes. but it's more like the bigger picture thinking.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
think having him as like the overall performance lead does make sense, because that will all trickle down to the car, because he's an engineer first. So his focus is going to be like, okay, the performance guys on the pit wall are shouting about lap strategies, but actually if we feed that back into X and Y with like the tire performance on the car, like, so I think it can work.
But
The
giving
problem-
an input is fine. As I said, giving an input is fine, but him being responsible for that is something I don't want. That's my thing.
I get you.
You're free to give any input you want, but your responsibility is make that car a rocket ship. That's it. You're limited to that. You do that to the best of your ability, and if you want more things, go ahead and do it. That's
I just
how
don't think
would
it
actually.
I just don't think the team principal role for him actually adds much more than that. I think it just gives him the problem is when he's doing media sessions. That's the only thing I think is like, this is ridiculous. But like
The media
team principal,
sessions, the pit stops, the sporting director has to report to him. The sponsors are coming. All those things. There has to be
that
someone
kind of
who,
stuff. Yes,
Exactly.
that kind
There
of
has
stuff.
to be
Like the
someone who handles
sponsors
all
and
the-
media,
yeah.
he shouldn't be touching. You know,
Exactly.
And like the performance directors coming to him, to me, that's like, okay, that's fine, because that gives him a better overview of like where everything's at from a technical standpoint. So I think that's okay. And it gives him also, it does also give him not just a responsibility, it gives him the opportunity that like, he doesn't need to go to anyone to like move someone or fire someone. He can just be like, this isn't working, you're gone over there. And I think that's probably a good thing, especially in the short term, because he can make changes quickly. But yes, I agree. He needs a Zach Brown. Like, he needs a guy that basically
Someone has to
anything
be
that
there.
anything that doesn't have anything to do with on-track performance, because I think you could say the whole on-track is fine, because that the car, like just the car, also needs to perform on track, and there's a variety of things there.
Yeah.
So like, that's fine. But he needs a Zach Brown who goes like, okay, listen, a sponsor's calling about something. I shouldn't be taking that call. Like, I shouldn't be doing.
It's not his job.
Yeah.
As simple
So
as that.
I'm hoping they sort that out quickly, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone coming in anytime soon to take that over. So I don't know what the deal is there. I haven't even heard a name talked about, you know?
The problem
It was Horner
for
originally,
me,
right? But
Craig Slater reported from Sky Sports reported that Horner was approached by Aston Martin, but Newey vetoed it. Apparently, he said, "I don't really need that." So,
it makes sense though. You know, I don't even think that's to do with him like disliking Horner either. I think it's just like, this is
not
a
really
new,
got to do with that.
I think it's just it's a new thing for Newey, and he's like, I don't want the old team back together. Like, this is supposed to be a new, and he's kind of been like that with every team, right? It's like he goes from McLaren or Williams to McLaren to Red Bull. It's not like he pulled a load of people across with him. He saw it as like, this is a new start, you know. So
yeah.
maybe it's just who he
How
is,
would-
you know.
If you were the one who was if you were Lawrence Stroll, how would you approach the entire situation from here?
Well, if I was Lawrence Stroll, I think I'd be a lot more forgiving to engineers, and I'd probably think, right, look, engineering is our problem right now. So I'd probably
first
come
thing
out.
you do is you'll fire Lance.
Of course, yeah. But that is an engineering problem. That's easy, because you just look at the data and you go, where's the issue here? Oh, it's Lance. Removed. Problem solved. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a few things you need to do straight away. The first thing, as we just talked about, is get a CEO that basically you work in a situation where you say to Newey, okay, this is the new CEO that's coming in. He is not your boss. He is your partner. This is the way we're setting the roles up. And what I want you to do is tell me everything that you don't like doing or won't help with performance. And he is going to take that over. That is the first thing you do. You are now the head of performance for this company. Anything that doesn't
Call it
fit that
whatever you
role.
want, yeah.
Exactly. Give that to this guy. Here's your new Zach Brown. That's the first thing you need to do.
Yeah.
And ideally, it's someone who is from a Formula One background and also really likes game theory, because as things move on, you need a Horner or a Wolf who fucking throws shit in the press. You need someone who's willing to fight dirty like that. Get someone like that. Zach's getting better at it, but I wouldn't say he's ideal.
I mean, he's won championships now.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, fire Lance. And the next thing on from that is I would basically come along and say, right, like, I think as well, from Lawrence Stroll point of view, you'd need to come out in front of the press, in front of everyone, and basically say, okay, this is a situation where we have tried to jump from a midfield team to top of the grid putting together a works team, building all of this stuff. We've just built a new factory. We've just built a new wind tunnel. Adrian has just got here. Honda has just come on board. As you've seen in Formula One, nothing happens overnight. But my commitment is to get us from the back to the front of the grid. And we have the right team, the right people in front to do it right now. And I am here to solve problems, not complain. And essentially, this will take as long as it takes. My checkbook is available. And like that kind of statement, you know, of like, you can say whatever you want about this team, but we're all together, we're all in the same part, and we're not going to complain anymore. And then walk into the PR department and say the next person who blames Honda for anything is getting fired. So just shut the fuck up. You know, like if Honda want to say it's their fault or it is their fault, we can deal with that, but you're not to say it. Like it just needs to be. My only concern about Aston is literally just it's very easy for infighting to happen with the stuff you were talking about. Like all it takes is a PR team or someone in PR or someone higher up, a director, to say some shit about Honda, and then Honda to be like, oh, well, fuck them. And all of a sudden you've got a nightmare situation internally. And we saw that with Renault and Red Bull, how bad it gets if you let that fester. So anyone who's been in a relationship with a female knows what this is like. So you can't let these things fester.
Great. Okay, so if I'm Lawrence, first of all, the first thing I'll do is I'll also fire Lance.
Fire Lance.
You start.
I would just adopt him out as well. I wouldn't even just fire him. Like, find him a new family. Frankly.
Yeah. So, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so first is Lance is gone. Second thing that you have to do is you have to find. I agree. Find a CEO or someone who's going to handle everything that's not related to the car, talking to the media, sponsors, PR, everything that person has to take care of. And then I think you also have to bring Honda into confidence. A lot of nonsense has gone on, and before even the first race, there's damage. And this is not the Honda of the McLaren Honda period, which was they were essentially bullied around for 3 years.
Yeah.
Quite openly. This time around, they've put their foot down pretty much on the very first occasion when they've been put in a bad light. So if Honda is also willing to be combative in the media, it means that there's no point of going for a back and forth or any such thing. Just bring them on board, have a chat there. Okay, this thing, it's going to be a long-term thing. We know it's going to be a long-term thing, and the progress is going to take time. So if that is the scenario that we are facing right now, it's better to get all hands on deck. No more nonsense, no more leaks in the media. First of all, anyone who's doing that, fire them. And okay, one more thing, this might be a bit controversial. Either sign Alonso for the long term or find his replacement as soon as possible. Because this thing is, you might disagree on this one. I think Aston Martin is not winning the championship. Either in 26 or 27. I think it's the best case scenario is 28, not before that. Yeah. That's where the trajectory, I think it's not coming. They are not going to be a title contender in the best case scenario before 28. That's where I see the whole thing projecting right now.
Yeah, you would hope that 27 they make a big step from where they. Well, you hope they make a step from where they are now, full stop. But yeah, 27, you hope a big step, and then. Like maybe even right on the back of the top 4 in 27 and then in the top in 28 or something like that. Yeah. I agree. I think with Alonso, my thinking would be like, okay, we're in a shit situation right now. And honestly, like, unless we can get a Leclerc, a Russell, a Verstappen, like someone like that we can sign right now. Ideally, you get that person and put them in Lance's seat anyway. Problem solved. But like, if you're not replacing Lance, yes. Unless you're getting one of those guys right now, you just say, look, this is clearly going to take some time. So Alonso, is there any chance you'll stick around for another year or two? And I hope we can give you a chance at wins and a title. But if you can't, you're getting a shit ton of money and you can help us develop and, you know, stay here basically. Because it's the smart choice.
If he doesn't want to stay beyond 26, right? That's because I won't be surprised. Exactly. I won't be surprised if, as Peter said, if mid 2026 he retires, because the situation that they are in right now, by mid 2026 they're not really going to get much better. So that's clear. And if by then Alonso's patience wears off, especially look, cause he has a personal life now. I think he might be close to getting a kid, or he just had a kid, something on those lines. it means there are other things which he can focus on. That life is starting to progress, so it becomes even more. You even start questioning it more. Why am I even doing this, right? So that could also be a factor. Overall, either get Alonso signed on a long term, and by long term I mean get him signed for the next couple of years. Take a commitment.
A 2-year
He's
contract,
yeah,
just
a 2-year contract. If
even
he's
a 2
willing to,
plus 1, and say, look, at the end of every season you can have an out if you want, like, but just
yeah,
we'll work with you on this, you know.
exactly.
Like,
Get him for that. So because if they are able to get him for that, fine, you can take this thing the long term. It's understandable. But if Alonso abruptly calls it a day and Aston Martin does not have a ready replacement already, that's where things can get tricky, because then they'll have to look at a Sainz who is probably not going to jump. He's at Williams, and Albon, Gasly, Ocon, and all these guys. And that's a bit suboptimal, right?
And you only want two things if you're in that team right now. You either want an absolutely outrageously fast driver that, you know, the engineers can deliver a car to, or you want an incredibly experienced superstar who can help you develop the car and give you that. Yeah. Well, yeah. I said and can help you develop the car, so that is a problem.
I think Lewis might be a good option.
I know, but that's our fans are not going to like me saying that, so we can't say that.
No, they are fine. There are a few. We have Lewis Hamilton fans as well.
I think he would be a good option, but he's
Plus, it will also be Vettel, Alonso. So essentially, all the it's as Aston Martin will essentially become the retirement home of the legend.
It's basically collecting. It's collecting multiple champions, essentially. Yeah,
and not winning anything with them.
And not letting them win anything.
The green Ferrari.
I think, look, ideally you keep Alonso for another season or two, right? Because I mean,
100%. You don't have
even at his worst, he's still better than any other driver you could get at the minute. Because even like, unless you're getting Sainz or above, I would say Sainz isn't an improvement, but it's as close as you're going to get. And then anyone below that is a downgrade.
Sainz is worse than Alonso.
I was trying to say, like, you could argue that, but I do think, like, Sainz is.
I'm pretty sure. Last year, some of the drives that Alonso put together in that car, he deserved
incredible.
To
be. Yeah,
exactly. And
I still think Alonso. We don't know how good Alonso still is because he hasn't had a car to deliver it. You know, so
and
2023 was
100% right. So for them, this has to be a priority. Get him signed, and look, if Lewis is getting 100 million, give him a 50. Give him 50 million. Just keep him with you. If
I think
the
that's
whole
what
thing
he's getting right
success.
now, anyway, right?
20. No, he's in 20s. 26.
Is he?
27. Yeah.
Oh, was it Vettel that was on? 20 million base salary.
Yeah.
Although I would imagine he's getting a lot more than that. So apparently, it works out as 54 million all in with his sponsors and everything.
But from
his base salary from Aston is 20. Yeah,
exactly. So let's see what they do with that. Look, I want the team to succeed, but if I'll be pragmatic enough, I think they're looking at a scenario where by the end of the season they won't have Alonso, and by the end of the season they would be struggling to fill that seat. And I think it's urgent for them to get a CEO, get someone who basically takes away all the distractions from Adrian Newey. Yeah, that's my initial thought. Okay, jumping on from Aston Martin, tell me something. Is there, because this was something that was asked by someone on my channel, do you think we'll see a demotivated Max Verstappen this time around? In the scenario that the car is not that good.
Yeah, like this is the thing. I think we might, but I don't think it'll be at the start of the season, because obviously the car, I think, will be decent at the start of the season, and I think it'll be midway through that we see things start that way. I don't know, like, I was telling you I watched like Drive to Survive, right? And I know like it's not a great barometer of how the sport is because it's like overplayed.
Yeah.
But just even like the way Max was speaking, and there was a couple of moments of like even Horner on the radio at the pit before he got let go. And like one of Horner's thing was just like, it wasn't like the usual like, oh, come on Max, like you can do this or whatever. It was like a, come on Max, You know, and the whole feeling was kind of like this at some point last year. And we saw it, we talked about it a lot, like he just kind of gave up for a while.
Yeah.
And that would deeply concern me because even in the last race of the season, again, it's Drive to Survive. Again, it's dramatized, all this stuff. But we talked about it as well, even before that.
A lot.
Even in the last race of the season, his attitude, even behind the scenes, seemed to be kind of we'll see what we can do. You know, like, and I am a bit concerned that this is like a situation of like, if they don't show up with a car that can outright fight for the title, and even if it's like the first few races it can, and then by race 6 it's like, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do and the guys are pulling away, does he just go, like, I'm over it?
Plus he doesn't like these cars at all. At all.
So yeah, I think we could see a Max who just basically, I think we'll see a Max who comes out swinging because that's kind of in his DNA. But I do think like 3-4 races in, we could start seeing that. You know,
yeah.
Do I really want to sit here for 2 more years? You know,
especially with the cars that are. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Especially if he can't overtake. You know,
the lunges are gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which
like
is
if he can't,
which is, by the way, which is interesting for us on a very surface level because we are curious to see what is going to happen. But the reality is that the late breaking moves are gone anyways, and if they are gone, it's going to be a major concern for anyone that's watching.
If they're gone, like
spectacles.
especially like I've been shouting that like I don't like DRS. I was like, yes, you can pass, but to be honest, it kind of bores me.
You don't have it anymore.
No, but I was like, yes, you can pass, but it's kind of boring when all the overtakes are just like, I have more speed than you in a straight line. Like there's no skill to that, you know, like especially because in most cases,
at least was involved, right?
That's my point. Yeah. Like, but when it was just a DRS overtake and it was like basically Brazil was the best example of it. Like the amount of drivers that like Max would pass, for example, last year in Brazil. And I was like sitting there going, will someone at least defend? But the drivers were just like, there's no point. He has way more speed. He's just going to pass me in the straight. They wouldn't even defend. And to me, that's like
2021.
That's not racing.
Lewis win, right?
Yeah, like everyone's, oh, look how good it is. Like, sure, he's going 50 kilometers an hour faster in a straight line. Like, it's not racing. It's just like, that's me overtaking someone on a motorway. Like, that's all that is. Like, that doesn't excite me. So if it's even if we get what sounds like the best case scenario now of just them being able to pass in a straight line, like that's boring to me. Like, there's no skill involved in that. That's just, I have a faster car. Goodbye. Like,
yep, exactly. I'm slightly worried because every time Max talks about this season, he's not really. I think for me, the biggest thing is I think Max does not see anyone on the current grid as his competitor.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, it becomes a bit of a job because there's no competition.
Leclerc might fix that, right? Maybe.
McLaren, okay.
No, Leclerc. If Red Bull and Ferrari were competitive and able to drive against each other, I think it would be a different story because Leclerc is probably the one person that Max
is
like.
There's a big factor here, right? You know, Ferrari.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I mean, if it was a proper title fight, we know from 22 and from things Max said that like he sees Leclerc as the guy that he would give a fight to. You know, like
Leclerc
he sees him
and
as
George as well, and these three drivers are.
He doesn't like George though, so I don't know if he. Yeah,
that's also there. George also doesn't like Max apparently.
No,
I mean, so I only saw a couple of episodes of DTS, and the one with Colapinto and the first one. I got bored after that, but it seems that George and Max, they don't really get along that much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if there's racing, I think they'll be fine. But if it becomes a bit of a processional thing where there's really not much to it, that's where the problem could come in. And that's where even Max would have some thought on what he wants to do. Yeah, let's see.
Especially if he can't do anything. Like if, as you said, if the lunges are gone and Max is like, well, I've got a slower car and I can't even aggressively dive into corners or like, you know,
make up for the efficiency of the car.
If I can't do anything, then what's the point, you know?
Yeah.
So I could see that.
A lot of drivers are going to feel a bit neutered because of these regulations. Yeah.
Which is annoying because it was supposed, like the talk up until maybe a month or two ago was like, this should give more variation for the driver to play with. And it was Alonso that came out and said, no, that's not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
And it turns out he was right. He was spot on.
Who would have thought?
Or at least it seems that way. We haven't had a race yet, but
yeah,
it seems that way. Yeah. Maybe on Sunday we'll be like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm not expecting it. But,
yeah, what's going to happen is there are going to be a lot of things that would require. Whoa, what happened?
One of the dogs
Not
is
the
going
cars,
crazy.
right? Yeah. Okay.
It's fine.
Until it's the dogs, that's fine.
We've got too many dogs, so that's the problem.
Yeah.
The wife says putting them down is mean, so I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. Okay.
She said they have to be sick for that.
Yeah. So I think I'm slightly worried when it comes to the whole thing. For me, again, there's a lot of things that Red Bull could do right, because remember they started the development of this car much later than everyone else. So wherever they are, it's still a very, you can say, it's a positive place to start. Yeah. From here, how they take it forward, going to be very interesting. Plus, also this also stands for McLaren as well, because McLaren also, what they are going to do is they're going to come to the first race with the same package they started in Barcelona. From here, how they proceed forward is going to be very, very interesting, because this is one team that tends to do well when it comes to in-season development. And we could have a season, right, where Mercedes has a head start. Mercedes and Ferrari have a head start. They start things well. But McLaren brings their major upgrade around Barcelona or Austria, whatever, and jumps to the front. And then you have something similar to what happened in 24 and 25, one of which Max won and then the Lando win. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Let's talk about Ferrari, because are they title contenders? What's your view on the whole thing? What are the vibes?
If there's no overtaking, then yes, because they'll get better starts and then just leave everybody.
You'll have Ferrari 1-2, Haas 3-4.
No, you won't have Ferrari 1-2.
Okay. If only Lewis qualifies better.
Yeah, that's the problem. Lewis will be brilliant in the races, but if he can't overtake and he doesn't qualify well, then that's that.
He jumped from P11 to P1 in Bahrain.
That is true. Yeah. No, I think Lewis does look more comfortable with these cars, a little bit more. Not as comfortable as Leclerc, but Lewis's DNA is in fact in the seat. So
he said that again, by the way.
Oh Jesus!
But I don't think he said it the way we thought or we interpreted it.
This is the problem with going out with a Kardashian. You become obsessed with DNA. It all goes back to that trial.
What?
So that's a very obscure 90s reference that no one's going to get, is it?
Yeah, even I didn't.
Robert Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's father, was a lawyer for the O.J. Simpson trial. And that was the first ever trial it was the first major trial that DNA evidence was the primary use in.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny that he's dating a Kardashian and talking about DNA. But again, a very obscure link that as soon as I said that, I was like, no one's going to get that.
Yeah, even I didn't.
I was like, that's such a obscure reference.
Yeah. Could be. First of all, when it comes to drivers, I think I am not really worried about Charles as such. I think there's one thing with Charles. I think he'll be desperate if the car is good enough. Because he is in a situation, because he's been there for 7 years now, and it's been a while, and he's seen
probably the last year.
Yeah. If things don't work well, then yes. But if Ferrari is working fine, then maybe not. For me, the whole thing with Charles is, can he keep his composure when Ferrari inevitably fucks up? Because there will be moments when it does, and how he reacts to that. There will be a scenario, right? Because if the early predictions are whatever we've seen, the season will start with Mercedes and Ferrari at the front, and Red Bull and McLaren third, fourth. So if that is the scenario, how does Leclerc versus George go, or if Kimi Antonelli jumps into the picture, how it ultimately plays out, and Lewis as well. No disrespect to Lewis.
No, it's just look. It's just at the moment, post-testing, it's not Lewis hate. It's just that Leclerc did seem way more comfortable in the car than Lewis. Lewis looked comfortable compared to last year, but Leclerc looked a lot more comfortable in that car constantly. So it's a reasonable assumption to assume that Leclerc will be the better of the two, at least at the start of the season.
Plus, there's this whole thing with the qualifying nonsense, right? You can't really... Even I was thinking about this specific area, that the qualifying specialists, the drivers that could really wring the neck of the car, now that skill might be lost, because entirely the whole thing comes down to how much power you've harvested during the lap that can be used on the straight line. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality.
Where did I leave that cyanide? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Leclerc's main advantage over Lewis, I mean, again, he was quicker in the races as well, but his main advantage was in qualifying. And if the car is not even going to be on the edge in qualifying, then that advantage could be lost potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
That also could play a role. You have to be very smart with how you go about these regulations. There are a lot of variables here. Yeah.
It's almost impossible to know what's going to happen, which is like, that's why this race is exciting.
Yeah.
After this race, if all of the negatives come true, it's not going to be that exciting. Basically, this will be exciting because we'll be learning, and learning is fun.
Exactly.
And then,
new things, curiosity, again, all works.
And then you learn that it's all shit, and it stops being fun.
Exactly. And curiosity kills the cat. So I think what's going to happen is first few races, this the first one in Australia, second in China, third in fuck the third race is in Suzuka, and Suzuka is not that good when it comes to harvesting.
But you can tell the Honda engine's going to be amazing at that track. Honda will show up sneaking in an engine that doesn't pass the regulations.
They won the race last time, by the way, Honda.
Yeah. But Honda will show up with some sneaky engine that hasn't passed any regulatory tests, and put it in the back. Shh.
Yeah. Let's see.
Why does that sound like a V12? Shh.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Whatever Honda's done, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Too loud. Yeah, it's Japanese technology.
Yeah.
From the yesteryears. And talking about Ferrari, just coming back to it, we'll talk about it, then we'll jump to the predictions. Specifically, where do you think their main areas of concern are, other than the team bosses?
Honestly, I'm just a little bit concerned about energy management during the race. I think they've got a good advantage out of corners. They've got a good advantage off the line, but a lot of that is down to the smaller turbo, and it seems anyway. Obviously, we don't know, but that's what it seems like. So I don't know how well their energy efficiency goes, and they seem good on these glory runs and so on, but I don't know. The race pace was good, but it wasn't amazing if I remember correctly.
No, it was fine. Both of them had the same.
But I don't think it was as good as the Mercedes, for example, was it?
Similar.
So, yeah.
But who turned up but who was running the better harvesting strategy and all? We don't really know that.
So we don't know. But that would be my only concern. And then, for the car, technically speaking. And then my other concerns about Ferrari are the fact that it's Ferrari. There's a lot of other concerns then, because Fred Vasseur came out and was like, I've got a hotline to John Elkin and something you do until you lose a race, and then they don't care anymore because they're morons.
And then that's the problem. They also have a hotline to you, and it's not pretty.
The biggest concern is they could go from shit show to second place basically, and that still wouldn't be good enough, and they would lose Fred Vasseur at the end of the year, which probably would, even if they were doing really good and came second, and Leclerc was I might stick around for another year because this looks promising, they'd fire Fred Vasseur still somehow, and then Leclerc would go, oh, well, this is going to be Mattia 2022 all over again. I'm out of here. And so they'll find a way to fuck it up. They always do.
Yeah. The problem is this only, right? When it comes to Ferrari, everyone is just waiting to see when they fuck up. That's the whole issue.
Because they can build a good car and engine. They have done.
They've done it far too many times. They just fuck things up during the season, and sometimes when the car is bad at the start of the season, they do a great job during the year. So they'll do everything to finish second or third, and this season second or third is not going to be acceptable, right? And as you said, when it comes to the smaller turbo, it has its benefits. Its benefits would ideally be on a track like Australia. Shorter straights. So shorter straights means your initial punch through a corner. That's matters.
Really important.
Yeah. So that would be the main thing. The top speed might not be that big a deal. So on these tracks, Ferrari could do well. But the problem is this is not your conventional F1 track. There will be conventional F1 track where the peak power would be important. And if Ferrari doesn't have that, that will be a concern. On the other side, the car that they've built is brilliant, And they've been the only one that has been experimenting with different solutions. They have something in the rear, the suspension. They have something. They put something there, the rear wing, which is completely different. It's essentially causing lift, which is, I think, the first time we've seen anyone attempt
Yeah, I
to
think
do
so.
something on those lines.
Yeah.
Right. So when you are able to do such things, it means that the team is. It means the team has the freedom to take these risks, because when it comes to Ferrari, usually it's a bit like you cannot fail, you cannot fuck up. So they've tried a lot of these things. So that's a positive. Overall, my worry is if things start to stumble a bit after the first few races, and then you'll see the comments coming from John Elkann and the CEO, the Benedetto Vigna. I think that's where the problem would come in.
Yep.
The second problem would be if the second driver is not up to par with Leclerc, because then half the time from Fred Vasseur would be spent trying to explain why Lewis is not at the level of Leclerc,
Yeah.
which we had last year. So that's where we stand when it comes to them.
Yeah, and annoyingly, like Fred Vasseur as well is like, I think he's a very capable team leader, but he's not going to be able to lead effectively if, like, I think the Lewis thing on its own, if Lewis struggles, I think he can deal with that. That's fine. But if he's dealing with that and dealing with like the board on him the whole time, you can't lead effectively like that. You know, like we saw someone who was as good and as experienced as Horner struggle when the board is like on your throat the whole time. Yeah. Like we saw how difficult that was for him, and he's been a top team lead, or he was a top team leader for 20 years, and had won multiple championships. And even he was going like, you could see it was like, this is unattainable or unsustainable. So if he couldn't do it, Fred without all of that behind him to give him the confidence, like he's not going to be able to do it either. So, you know.
By the way, talking about Horner, you know, I think I told you, right? You know, after he was fired abruptly, Red Bull made an 82-second tribute clip for them.
Yeah. 82 seconds. Yeah.
14 championships. 20 years.
Yeah.
And like, funny. This is actually...
I think the Drive to Survive one was longer, I think.
I haven't seen it. Which episode is it?
I think it's episode 4 or 5. If you flick through the descriptions, you'll see it pretty quickly. But it was a good video because you could see like the stuff. The thing was, what was interesting about it was everyone around the teams and like all the reporters and even like, you know, everybody was like, the Verstappens hold a lot of power in this team and Jos isn't happy with Horner and so on. And Horner kind of said in a very political way, you know, at the end that like, no, the Verstappens are not the reason I left. It was the board basically going through changes, you know. And he's right in a way that like he said with Helmut Marko as well. And he's right in a way, and I guess maybe he doesn't like Jos either, so he's not going to give Jos credit for his removal. Like it's not in him. But at the same time, it was really obvious. It's like everyone around the team was like, this is coming from Jos not being happy, and then Marko is filtering it. All the stuff that we were like, this is what I'm hearing like the whole time. And Horner was the one who was like, no, it was the board, you know. And sorry, I don't want to go on a Toto rant here, but or a Horner rant here, but the message from Toto was pretty cool as well. And it shows like Toto, I think like Toto can be a dick in the press, but I like lots of respect for Toto, and he's an old school principle in some ways too, and that like he knows it's competition, it's a game, they're playing each other the whole time. And he sent Horner a message along the lines of, it's not really going to be the same without you, like there's no one else that is a proper like competitive spirit like you are. And then he's like, you can be a prick sometimes, but hey, you know, he's like 15 out of the last 16 championships between the two of us. He's like, not so bad, eh? And he's like, I'm sure I'll see you again soon or whatever, you know. And it was like healthy competition between them. Yeah. And it's cool. I do think I am a bit worried that with all of this corporate play in Formula One, we will lose a bit of that, you know, because the Laurent Mekies's of the world, for example, they're trying to be more corporate and like, oh no, we don't do things like that. And it's like,
there will always be teams. There will always be teams that do that.
There'll always be a Flavio and a Horner and stuff. I just hope they're at the front.
I mean, Horner is coming back anyways. He is coming back pretty much. He was supposed to talk to whatever the reporting was, he was supposed to talk to Alpine, but apparently
yeah.
he's taken a step back. I think Horner would be looking at the situation at Aston and pretty much licking his lips because, right, for him,
Yeah.
it would be probably, it could be a case of history repeating itself. Aston Martin and Honda, they don't work out and ultimately split, and he brings Honda onwards wherever he's going. That could also
Maybe.
happen.
Yeah. That could be the other thing.
Yeah.
Because
That's a possibility.
Honda would have something to prove then.
And he knows what they're capable of, and he's made things work with them.
Especially if he said, like, we're bringing a 12th team and it's a Honda team. You know, it's a Honda works team run by me. You know?
Exactly.
Because the FIA and everyone would be like, yep, cool, Honda, come on in. And if you've got Horner running the chassis side and Honda's name's on the door, both parties are like, yeah, we're on board here. None of this bullshit. So, yeah, I mean, it could happen down the line, especially for 29, V8s, everything. 30, isn't it?
Who knows right now? Honestly, I don't know how many
could
years
be 27 with how bad this looks. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd never know what's going to happen.
Quick, guys, take the batteries off. We're just running pure V6s. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the 26 Australian Grand Prix. What do you think the pecking order is going to be? 11 to 1. Start
for
with
this
Aston Martin.
11 to 1. Jesus. I thought we were in the top 4. Yeah, Aston Martin, I think this weekend is a learning one for them. I think they're just trying to figure stuff out and probably fail. So I think Aston Martin 11th, 10th probably. I'm tempted to say Cadillac, but the Ferrari engine is punchy out of the corners and stuff, so they could be better, but I'm going to say 10th for Cadillac anyway. I think Racing Bull's 9th. I'm not that confident in that team right now. Audi 8th. Williams 7th. I'm going to say Alpine 6th, Haas 5th. Again, because of the engine. I think Haas have done a decent job. They've got all the mechanicals as well. 4th place, I'm going to say McLaren, then Red Bull, then Mercedes, then Ferrari for this weekend, I think.
Okay. So I think mine will be mostly similar to you. So I have Aston Martin at 11th. I earlier had Cadillac at 11th. I didn't expect Aston Martin to suck this much, but here we are.
If it's pure performance, I think we would both say they would still maybe pull it together and do 10th. Yeah. But they're sounding like they're just going to DNF after 3 laps or something. So,
which is by the way, a worse start to a partnership than McLaren Honda.
Yep. Yeah.
You know where Jensen finished in the first race with McLaren Honda? P11.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
if they pull that off, it'll be amazing.
No, wait. The 9 drivers retired. That's why.
Okay. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was 2 laps down. So.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was trying to think. I was like, I don't remember them doing that well. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was 3 seconds off in qualifying and he was 2 laps down. So.
Oh, God.
Alonso didn't even race in the first race, by the way. If you remember the whole electric shock thing that happened to him. Yeah.
That was wild, yeah. We still don't quite know what the deal was.
No one knows. Yeah,
it's kind of assumed, but yeah.
Okay, so in 10th I have Cadillac. They should finish the race, but they'll be 10th. I don't think they'll do much better than that. In 9th, apparently it's Williams because they're not just fat; they are morbidly obese. Apparently, it's ridiculous the kind of extra weight they're carrying. Then you have. In 8th, I'm putting Audi.
Okay.
Still a new power unit. I'm still skeptical where it will be. P7, I'm putting Racing Bulls. P6, Alpine. P5, Haas, very similar to you. P4, I'm putting... I'll go with McLaren for now. The car it's older now. It's been a while since they put an upgrade. P3, Red Bull. I think Ferrari will be second. Mercedes will be first. In terms of pure performance.
Okay.
At least for now, I think that's the order that I expect. Your top 3 in the podium.
So I thought about this because I did a prediction yesterday. I'm putting Max 3rd, George 2nd, Leclerc 1st. And my reasoning is not just the pecking order, but basically like I think there's a good chance the McLarens are in fighting around it, but as we just discussed, like I think they'll be P4 because they haven't actually had the latest engine yet, so they wouldn't have had their learnings in for deployment, all these different things. And that is basically the same reason why I'm putting those as the top three, because I think out of those top three teams, I think those drivers will quicker adapt to like deployment, the varieties of things. So I think just the Red Bull is going to be just less capable than the other two off the bat. So I think Max will do everything he can, but it sounds like there's very little he can do with these cars. So I think P3 for him, P2 for George then, and again P1 for Leclerc. I think Leclerc will probably qualify third, get into turn one first, and then no one will be able to overtake, and we'll have a processional,
basically.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm setting my expectations low here.
Yeah, even I think Leclerc wins with somewhat similar logic as yours, because I think he'll get to the lead. And since it's the first race, I don't think tire degradation is going to be massive for now. So there'll be a singular one pit stop, and then they'll just run the race through. Second, I'm putting George. Third, I'm putting Kimi.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Where do you think Lewis finishes?
Probably P5 or 6, I think.
Yeah.
I think behind Kimi and potentially one of the McLarens. That's what I'm thinking. So
okay. So that would be 4, 5, 6. P6.
Yeah, unless he finishes ahead of both McLaren, so P5 or P6. But that makes sense to me. Yeah. I think Hadjar is going to struggle. So
I'll ask where he finishes as well. So first of all, I think Lewis will be top 5. I think he should be top 5. He's usually good around Australia, and
hopefully, yeah.
Leclerc is there. He should also be, because the biggest thing is when it comes to qualifying, one of the major issues that all of the veteran drivers would have faced is they don't take the same risks as the younger drivers, right? It's basic thing. Now you don't have to take those risks because you're just power limited. So the gap that the younger driver would usually pull, we won't really have those. So I'm assuming that maybe the gap in qualifying would be less. And if that is lesser, then they'll be closer to each other in the, what should we call it? At the starting grid, and then probably jump to the lead, one of the two, and other one follows through.
Okay.
Then you have George and Kimi maybe make a jump or something. But yeah, that's how I think it might go. Where do you think Hadjar finishes?
This is a tough one because in my mind it's P8. I think he finishes behind all the other guys because he just looks. It looks once again like not even maybe the way the car turns in and all those things, but in terms of like the deployment and like the way you recharge and everything, it seems like they've built that around like pulling as much performance out as possible of a new engine. And to do that, they're doing it on like the limits of what Max can drive to again, which is, again, this is the explanation we've had to explain to people who complain all the time, right? Which is like, it's not that they just build a car for Max. They build the fastest possible car, and the fastest possible car that their best driver can drive. And Max drives a very unique way, and therefore it's very difficult for anyone else to drive a car that has been adapted or that has been built for him to his limits. And I think that's the case in this situation. So I want to say P8, but I'm kind of worried that it'll be a situation where, like last year, it'll be like Max is, qualifying P3 and Hadjar is like spinning it in qualifying and qualifying P15 or something. So I'm going to say P11 to hedge my bets.
Yeah. Because my initial thought was, I think he will get a P8 because the top 4 cars are too far ahead. But I'm also worried because because Hadjar has not looked as comfortable in the car as Max has.
And it's not close as far as I could see either. Like it's not like, he's 3 or 4 tenths off. Like it looks.
The car looks much worse. It looks like they're driving 2 different cars, and that
maybe they are.
Really be. I agree with you. I don't think he finishes in the points. I think that's the worst thing. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, pick any number. I don't think he scores points. That's my initial impression. Okay, where does the rookie finishes? Arvid Lindblad.
The Racing Bulls isn't really that good, so I'm going to say like P14, P15, something like that. I think he'll do as good as he can. I actually think Arvid will be very good, and also I think some of the younger rookies, like some of the younger guys, will be better at adapting to these cars than some of the older drivers. So and like Lindblad is, I've seen some races of him. He is very, very good. Like, so I think 14th, 15th, but that mainly because I think that's like the best that car is going to do with the people around it. So.
Okay, it's 7th fastest. So yeah, roughly on those lines. I think Lindblad finishes ahead of Hadjar. That's my prediction I'll make.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm slightly worried about his preparation overall, honestly, because so full disclosure, I was supposed to interview him in the past week, but I had to go home. He came to India, and there's been a huge he's essentially been put through the ringer by the Red Bull entire PR program. Just a week before his first race of the season, he's in India. I think he's done something in I think it was a 2 or 3 day event in India. It was the Red Bull Motor Jam, which he was there, and then he had something to do in Britain, and then he'll be traveling to Australia.
Jesus,
he's 18 right now, and they are literally. I think I've seen him give at least. I mean, he gave us an interview as well at Sportskeeda. He's given at least 10 or 12 interviews, and then the other influencers as well doing all these bites. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I'm happy he's giving us interviews, giving us access, but you're really, really pushing him far too much. And I've usually kept my mouth shut on this. I'm not putting it out on social media again. If anyone sees it here, I'm ready to explain. But I'm not entirely fan of how they're really okay. Look, there are 89 million Indian F1 fans right now, and Red Bull and Racing Bulls, they want to exploit that market, and they're doing it. The best way to do it is if the driver is good enough, and he is good enough, and if he ends up doing well, that's the best way to go about it. But this level of marketing, I'm not a huge fan of, especially a week before the first F1 race. Okay. What else? Okay, so these are done. Finally, there are a couple of questions from our subscribers. Let's just go through them and be done with it.
Cool.
Okay, Flaky. One thing that nobody seems to talk about are the new Pirellis. Well, we did. Do you guys know anything about them, or have we all accepted those Italian rubber disgraces? It would be so funny and ironic if most things this season suck, but then Pirelli out of nowhere would deliver a good product. Anyway, there's nothing better than waking up on Sunday morning 5 a.m. to watch the first race in Australia. Looking forward to all the pods this year from the best podcast. Cheers, Flicky.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting much from Pirelli, but I think they're lucky in that it's probably going to be the least of our worries this season. I'm trying to think of an analogy that isn't offensive, and I can't think of any that aren't offensive. So I'm not going to say any of them. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's like being the Japanese in World War II. Your allies did a lot worse, so you get forgotten about. That's the least offensive one.
The Argentinians.
Or the Argentinians. Yeah, true. Oh, God. You can keep the Falklands, guys. We all hate the British now anyway. I don't think they'll be that bad this season. Let's see. But that's because there's other things to worry about.
I think the reality is they'll be the least of our worries because everything else would suck.
If we're complaining about Pirelli in 2 weeks' time, things have gone well. Let's put it that way.
Let's put it like that. Okay, the next is from Nelson PK Junior. Okay. Yeah, so not the Crash Gate guy.
Yeah.
What has Franco Colapinto done? Okay, so what is Franco Colapinto? My mind completely went to the Argentinian thing.
Go on.
So yeah, what has Franco Colapinto done to earn his seat at Alpine? The season at Williams was not as good as we remember, and last year he showed no sparks that Gasly has. We are too focused on his potential, but he's the most raw driver on the grid, and I think his ceiling is an inconsistent midfield driver. Jason?
I disagree because he beat Albon in a few races at the start of Williams. And I think, look, if you can do that in your first couple of races and like show the aggression that you showed in Singapore, that race, like that potential is there. But like you've got to keep in mind, like this guy hasn't even gone through like a proper rookie season in the way that like even like Liam Lawson was given some advantages and so on, and look how that worked out. You know what I mean? So like if you throw drivers into these situations, especially when they're rookies, it's going to be tough. Like we know how good Antonelli is. Look at the amount of shit like he had to deal with last season, for example. And I just look, I agree he needs to prove himself. But I think like the potential is there. And more importantly than the potential is a lot of money. And F1 teams like money. So that's why he's deserved a seat, because Doohan showed less potential and less money. So there you are.
The money wasn't there.
And Alpine were so shit last year that there were no upgrades available. So that is why he is
By
still
the way, you
in that
saw
seat.
the whole thing with Flavio? He shut him up twice. I decide what happens. You do not.
Yeah.
That was the second episode. I'm like, fuck, man. But yeah, it's expected.
Flavio is so good. But like also, it seems like Colapinto is able to deal with that shit. But like the interview was so fucking awkward. Just Colapinto looking at him like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, it's the school headmaster. Completely those vibes. Yeah, okay. Colapinto, I think he should be fine, but this is the year, right? If 2026 he's not, if it's a repeat of 2025, you'll have. By the way, you'll have the Irish guy. What's his name? Alex Dunn. He'll be
Dunn.
driving for Alpine in that case.
And Dunn is very good as well. Like he's very good. I think Colapinto has to beat Gasly this year.
Yeah.
If he doesn't beat Gasly this year, it doesn't really matter.
He'll be
he
done.
does.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you're going to basically say to yourself, okay, Gasly is a very strong midfield driver. He's the development lead. We want a superstar. And it'll be like, well, if Colapinto can't beat Gasly, then he's not a superstar. So let's bring in the next guy. And that'll be the decision. Simple as.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's fair because I think Gasly's quite good, but I think if you're Alpine,
I don't think
it's
what happened with
Doohan
Doohan was fair either. It pissed me off the way he was treated.
Yeah.
And it's not
I'm a
even on
Colapinto
track
fan,
thing.
and I agree. Yeah.
So. Even it's not even on the on track thing. The abuses, the threats, and everything are nonsensical. And he just got 5 races and was chucked out. But
yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. Lawson either, 2 races.
Yeah, at least he's in Formula One, right? He still gets to prove himself.
It seems like as well. We were kind of told like Lawson kind of agreed with that decision. Like Drive to Survive didn't seem to show that. And
at all.
I was always a bit skeptical about that being like, I don't think he was happy to step down.
No one
I'm sure he was like, no.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I can get on top of this. Yeah.
Okay, was Kimi's season last year underrated? He made no clear mistakes except in Qatar and was consistently within range of George. The DNFs makes his points tally look worse than what it was. Your view?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we said this repeatedly last year as well. Antonelli's season was great. Like he did a really good job. He stepped up. I think Mercedes kind of mishandled him at one point because they were worried about crashes. So I think they got him to downplay. But I think the only problem with Antonelli last year was our expectations. Everyone set it up that this was a kid who, is the next like Hamilton, next Verstappen.
Everything.
When you're coming into those expectations and then you're driving a ground era Mercedes against George Russell, you're not going to meet those expectations in your first season. It's just not going to happen. So,
I'd say one thing. I think he lacked consistency in few races. I also think that again he has a lot of scope of improvement. But one thing which should worry someone like a George as well is what Kimi did in Brazil. Because he was not only faster than George, he kind of had him covered, which is a bit, which is different because again, Lewis doing that to George, understandable, but an 18-year-old rookie coming in and doing it shows potential. And George is brilliant in Brazil anyways.
He was also the only driver who could defend against Max. That's pretty fucking impressive in your first season as well. And I know like Max was struggling and so on, but still don't care. Like it's his first season. Like that's
He was
this
on older
kid's going to be
tires as well.
huge. Yeah. This kid's going to be massive. And
Pretty much.
if we look at
It
the
will be
jump of
interesting to see.
Oscar, like Oscar's jump between seasons, you know, I think Kimi potentially has more potential than
Upside.
even an Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Do you think Oscar is being overlooked?
yeah, I think that again, Drive to Survive. I have to say, I did enjoy this Drive to Survive season. It was good because it was just. I think it
How do you
wasn't even
get
because
so
of
much time to watch the whole thing? I've only
Oh.
I've only caught up. I only saw 2 episodes and that's it. I had zero time to do that.
You have to understand that I'm in a lucky position that I work like crazy and do like a lot of things. And some days I'll do like 18-hour days. But my work I'm in this lucky position that like it's all my choice. So if I just go like, yeah, I'm taking 7 or 8 hours off, I'm going to just sit for the TV, I just do that. And like everyone else has to just kind of wait for whatever, you know. And the only exception to that is if there's like a family thing or something with the kid where I'm like, okay, well, I'm saying the kid, you know what I mean. But it's like, it is actually a kid, by the way. It's not like a goat or something. God damn it. Anyway, you get my point. My point is I can take the time off because my income is kind of related to passive stuff that I built. So the work I do is for fun, which is good. It's a nice place to be. So yeah. But Drive to Survive, I thought it was interesting just because there was so much shit that went on last year. Like, I think it's a really shit series when nothing's going on and they're just looking to dramatize everything. But it was one of those seasons where there was enough going on that you didn't actually really need to dramatize it, you know? So
I agree. It was
good.
I mean, there were a lot of things. I should have seen the horror thing. I'll probably catch up to it tomorrow. Yeah.
It was interesting. Like, there was a lot of stuff we knew already, but it was kind of, and like, obviously, you know, he's just going to say what suits him, but it was kind of nice to see his side.
I mean, look, I know Flavio can be a cunt, but I didn't know he was this blatant in the way he approached things, right? That was new for me. But
his house is also awful. It makes Trump's house look like it's decently designed.
Yeah. Less gold. Yeah. On that note, take care, guys. Bye-bye. I hope we have a great race. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you for the next one. Bye.